It's time for Damn Good Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Shelby Clement. From corporate executive to CEO to entrepreneur and the founder of Damn Good Marketing Live. This podcast is all about digital marketing, building a business you love, and creating a brand that's authentic to who you are. So if you're ready for honest, raw marketing conversations that you will not find anywhere else, let's freaking get it. Caitlyn Cassio, welcome to Damn Good Marketing Podcast.
Hello, hello.
Are you so excited?
Excited, nervous, anxious,
Oh my gosh,
all the
I love
things.
it.
Happy to be here, though.
When two personalities meet, it's like
Yes.
one that's got like so much energy and the one you're just so calming and you're like, whatever. Anyway,
You
I'm
won't
so
have to
glad
tell
you're
me
here.
to tone it down.
I'm so excited you agreed to this. I can't wait to
Thank
dive
you for
deep.
inviting me.
Can you give just a little synopsis of what you do right now? Like who you are, what you do?
I have a marketing agency that we cater to and market for medical physicians, and we market their services to attorneys who have clients who have soft tissue injuries, injured in automobile accidents, hurt at work. And so that is who I market with and to.
Yeah, and so basically you're telling me, we just talked about this before we obviously went on air, is people are like, I probably are thinking, I didn't even know you should market for that. So basically what she does is markets for doctors that literally are getting all of their clients from personal injury attorneys, correct?
Correct.
So, I mean, who would have thought in that sense? But where were you prior to this? Like what, not necessarily who were you with or what you were doing, but like how did you get to this point and you knew that this is the type of marketing that you wanted to do?
Really, I was more interested in sales than anything. I majored in marketing. I liked marketing. I kind of honestly picked the major because I was like, whatever I do, you have to have marketing.
Yeah.
And whatever you end up on or land on, which at the time I thought was fashion, and I'm very far from that. But I use my marketing all the time. But my first job was in-house sales for a mortgage company. Very quickly learned that I could not sit behind a desk all day.
And you were like, no, thank you.
But I took what I learned from there, and then honestly took my first job in what I do now as a stepping stone. I never intended to be there forever. So really, it was my second job out of college, and I felt like I would take it and take the skills and the growth that I accomplished there, and then go tell medical device sales or pharmaceutical sales, hey, look what I did here. And really, I just ended up loving it and staying there.
Yeah. And you just launched your business recently last year. What was it, around like August?
No, it was we're coming up on a year. So it was last May.
Holy crap. How time flies. Holy
does.
moly. Okay.
It's been a fun year. It's flown by too.
What made you make the jump?
Well, I was with the prior company, and we were like it was an in-house type situation for 14 years. And it was great. It was wonderful. I built so many relationships, but I just kind of felt like I'd hit a ceiling. Wasn't filling my cup anymore. I felt like I had a lot of ideas that I wanted to grow that didn't really match the vision of the company I was currently with.
Yeah.
So I kind of, went to the drawing board and was like, hey, what are the pros and cons of staying? What are the pros and cons of leaving? What am I going to do if I leave? Because I kind of left behind the idea of medical sales or pharmaceutical sales, but I loved the selling side of what I did for their in-house marketing, because it really is, a lot of the times when people know that I'm a marketing professional or learn that I am, they have an idea of what that means, and what I do now kind of encompasses all of it.
Yeah.
It's not, sometimes, I'm sure you get this too, they're like, oh, so you sell promotional stuff.
Yeah.
No, I don't sell promotional stuff.
Right.
Oh, then it's websites. Well, kind of, but not just that.
Yeah.
The real nitty gritty is more of a sales type stuff and a promotional public relations almost type marketing.
Yeah. What type of marketing do you see right now that's working truly for you guys?
The relationship building, the branding, that type stuff. When I was with the prior business, we didn't do a ton of social media stuff. It wasn't in their vision or in their values in order to promote that way. And we've done a ton of that, with your help, really, with Prime. And it's taken off, and it's been a lot of fun. And that's been working for us a ton. But at the end of the day, it's really the relationships and how we market the doctors, about who they are and the services and why they do particular services. I feel like that's really what gets the growth.
I've seen y'all stuff lately. I was like, oh my God, look at them. I even saw the other day, y'all put up a question box. And I'm like, look at them with the engagement.
Did.
I love that.
Yeah.
The trick to that, if you're listening to this, if you don't get any questions, which honestly, when you first start doing that, this is totally side rant for the people listening, but if it's your first time doing it, have like you submit the questions that you know people are going to ask, or have like your friends submit questions that are relevant to what you do. It helps. And it also gives people permission to actually enter into the box, because sometimes people are like, I don't feel like doing that, or like, do I have anything to actually say or whatever? And it gives them the permission. It sounds so silly to actually start engaging with, you know, your stuff, no matter what you do. So I think it's cool that you finally, like, I find it so fascinating that I've been told that some industries are like, we don't need social media. But then you have like such a niche industry like yours that it could easily, like, you could have probably argued with me and said like, you don't need social media. I'd be like, yeah, you're right, kind of, because you really do need old school marketing 101, front facing. You need to go build relationships. You need to do out to lunch. You need to do office visits, all these things. But I still think the fact that you are coming in here and saying that, yes, you know, social media is still working for us. It's still doing really well for us. I think that, what is your advice to some people in industries that don't necessarily think that social media is, you know, an avenue that they want to take?
I kind of felt like, and I guess it would be similar for others, is that we felt like we had nothing to lose. It's a service that, I'm sure you'd agree with this, it's kind of like a muscle, and the more you exercise it, the easier it comes.
Yeah.
So as long as you kind of get past that uncomfortable feeling, why not post? Why not see what it gets you? Why not have the conversations with the patients you haven't treated with yet, or the attorneys you haven't worked with yet? Because as intimidating as like question box and like that can be, there's also a little bit of ease sometimes for a person to slide into your DMs rather than pick up the phone and call you.
100%.
So I wanted that avenue to communicate too. And, you know, the other thing too that was interesting for us with social media is that my group of doctors are very diverse and very dynamic. And I've got the folks who've been practicing for 40 years, and then I've got the folks who've only been practicing for 5 to 10. And so social media is more in their wheelhouse than it is the older ones, but or the more experienced ones. But but getting them all involved in that, they're having fun with it too. So
that's so cool to even just see how it evolves with even people that have, we'll say, more experience. Just because they've been around the block, your older doctors, they can tell stories. They can do that. That's going to build that trust. And I just think it's fascinating to sit across from someone that does exactly what we do, in a sense of meaning marketing in a whole different realm. Our brains work completely different, and we lean on each other. We've had this conversation multiple times. We obviously network heavily a lot now, whatever, however you want to say it, a lot now. And it's honestly refreshing, because we've had this conversation multiple times that even though we're both in marketing, it doesn't make us competition. It allows us to really ask each other advice, lean on each other, because our brains do work differently than a lot of people. So
yeah, and there's no one person's going to be the best at all the things. So social media is obviously your niche, and I'm going to give that to you and stay in my lane all day, and we'll do, you know, other things, which is why I got you to help with it in the first place.
Yeah.
So why not ask all the other folks in your field and see because it's so easy to get into a rut. And like I said, I was there at the other place for 14 years. Like, how could I not have been in a rut? How could I not have hit a cap? Or, you know, I just was ready for another challenge.
You were, and you're doing flawless.
Thank you. It's been a ton of fun.
So, okay, let's talk about networking and the power of getting in front of people, the power of putting yourself in rooms. Like, what have you found over the years? Because you did say, like, you love sales. I literally am getting better at loving sales. So let's, like, dive into that a little bit of, like, where, because I feel like every time you talk about it, I'm like, wow, I just learned something new. Like, for example, we were at lunch the other day, and you literally introduce yourself to people, and then you say the line, hey, who do you know that needs to know me? Or I don't know exactly how you said it, but it's basically in that way. And I'm like,
yeah,
that's so bold, straight to the point. It cuts the fluff, and it's really true. Can you elaborate on, like, why that's necessary? How did you come about that statement? Or how did you get so confident in the sense of, like, you just look at someone and you say those words?
I have to be honest, I don't remember where I kind of heard that from, but we close almost all of our meetings, our one-on-ones and our lunches and stuff with, okay, who else do we need to know, or who needs to know about us? You know, networking is one of those things where, again, I also feel like it's a muscle you have to exercise. It's uncomfortable in the beginning, especially like as a younger entrepreneur or a younger professional. I mean, you're going to, any networking event, you're going to mingle with people across the board, folks who have been doing it way longer than you. And so there's definitely intimidation there, but the easier or the more comfortable you get with just going out and saying, hey, I'm Caitlyn and this is what I do. You know, the more you talk to people, the more you realize a lot of the times, folks, it's kind of joke too within even my friends group where I'm like the Chandler being like, what exactly do you do?
You do. We don't understand it.
So the more people that you talk to, the more you elaborate on it, the more like, oh my gosh, I know someone who needs to talk to you or that needs your doctor's services. So why not just have the conversation? Because you never know if either they're going to introduce you to someone you need to know or they're going to teach you something you need to learn. Because that's another thing that I'm big on. Just sit me at a table where I can be a sponge from and learn from other people.
Exactly, because I feel like so many people don't take the time to do that or they get too shy. And I do think going back to it's a muscle that you just have to keep, using in the sense of it helps you get better with your sales pitch. So if you are not good at your elevator pitch, the more you talk about it, the more you say it, the more you're in front of people. Like I was at a networking event this Monday. And I'll be straight up honest. I hate sales. So I was the literal last thing I wanted to do. I love the people that put it on. So I was going to 100% be their sponsor. I even got up on stage. I had a 2-minute pitch and I was nervous. I mean, come on now. I get on stage all the time. But like when I have to go up there to sell my services, the whole time I felt like I was going to throw up. I literally felt like the crowd hated every second they were literally staring at me so blankly. But after they were like, you were so calm up there. You said it with like grace. You told us exactly what you do. Like we know it. But I'm like, wow, how far have I come? Because truly sometimes when I get up on stage or I get in front of people, I am an introverted extrovert and I freak out. And I'm like, I don't want to talk about what I do. Like people would always say, oh, she does social media management. You should hire her. I did this the other freaking day this is exactly great example. I did it the other day at Henry's birthday party. We were at the 365 Development Center or whatever. And I was standing there with Stacy Lala. I mean, I hope she doesn't care that I just said her name, but whatever, who cares? And we were talking to the owner. And he was like, yeah, I just hired a social media agency. We were all three right there. She goes, oh, well, that's what she does. And like Shelby would be like, and I was like, oh, that's so good. I'm so glad you hired someone. That's going to be so great for you. And I was like, completely shut down. I got armpit sweaty. And I was like, I'm going to go over there and play with the turf because I'm so awkward. Like, what? But it's just so true. It's so freaking true. And something else I've learned about you, with you recently, because we've been together a lot since probably December, November, when every time I say that, I'm like, when the hell was it? Should know by now. Which is so cool.
The fall.
I can't wait till we like announce like what we have in the works. It's so cool. And I absolutely love spending time learning from people that we've crafted in a room. But you have repeatedly said, and we've all heard this, your network is your net worth. Like if you are who you surround yourself with. Yep. And I am just so grateful for that. And I wish I would have learned that sooner. Can you elaborate on when that actually clicked for you? And when did you actually start implying that for you, whether it was with who you were before, was it now? Like, when did that click for you?
Well, it's kind of funny because it's one of those things, I'm sure everybody's mom tells them that, you're guilty by association and, know, don't hang out with that kid. Don't be that kid. You want to be a leader, then hang out with the leaders. I tell my kids that all the time, but it's kind of funny. I guess once you associate that more so growing up with your friend group, not necessarily your professional group, but it all translates and crosses over. I don't know. I feel like probably in every professional setting I've been in since then, it's like you meet the folks and you work with the folks and hey, I don't want to be associated with that one for sure. Yeah. Or what can I learn from this one? I think about that all the time too. Random little things I've learned from all the jobs I've ever had. And like the important people and the influencers that you had in each one of those particular settings. So I don't know that I ever abandoned the theory from being a child, but I feel like, I don't know, maybe even more so lately is clicked with me. Like, hey, sit me at a table with that person. Can you get me a coffee with that person? I don't know. It's probably something I've always kind of tried to be true to.
Yeah. And I think that when I was just having this conversation with Anna and Amanda, and literally it is the company that you keep and the mindset that you have, because when you are in the world of business and small business owners, it gets lonely because you don't have it's just you, it's you and then your employees. Whereas when we worked with corporate or we worked for someone else, there was multiple layers that you could lean on and talk to. But now it's like you have to curate those people, which ultimately is marketing your business, which is networking and it's business. And I just feel like a lot of times people don't want to invest in putting themselves in situations. So I thought that would be a great conversation for us to have. And the fact that you bring that up, my mom I forgot. She always said that, like, we don't hang out with that person because of this. You are who you surround yourself with. Like we are oh my God, we're teaching our boys these things. Wait, I'm like, oh my God, now I'm going in mom mode because we have my oldest and your youngest are the same age.
Yeah, that's how we met.
Angel, I feel like I'm talking to Wally. Anyway, y'all look so similar. It's okay. Keep going. Okay, what were you gonna say?
No, it's always been something like that. You know, you want to be associated with the folks that are going to represent you the best and that are going to put you in front of the most powerful people and people who are going to lift you up and empower you and energize you and motivate you and all that. So I always try to remember that.
What is one thing that really keeps you going as an entrepreneur, especially in like the world of creativity and marketing and having conversations with people that may not even think that they need it? Because like you're in an industry that's either like they want it or they are like, it's a hard no. They're either like probably bordering that line that, yes, I do need it, or I'm going to take a chance because Caitlyn's badass, or like, no, because we've gotten this far or our industry truly doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Where can you elaborate on that?
I always go back to, you know, it's not just my family I feed with my business, but these other people depend on me now too. I'm a people pleaser. I always have been. And so just to know that my efforts are doing a good job and that I'm bringing success, not just to myself, but those who have hired me, that's a big time motivator. I'm desperate not to make sure that they're not let down, that they're, you know, getting their money's worth and getting value out of what we do together and, you know, growing together.
Yeah. I think that it's just so hard in the world or in general marketing. Cause like, have you found too, just like in the years of experience, the first thing they cut is their marketing budget. It is the marketing.
Blows my mind.
You giggle because like truly this is what happened with your last company too. I mean, we won't mention what obviously, but they didn't believe in certain aspects. And so isn't it just, I mean, I came from an industry of that too. I mean, oil and gas just truly doesn't believe that they need it. What does that bring up to like inside for you? Like it truly just blows my freaking mind. But
I mean, do you have a business if you don't have marketing?
Wow. Can we,
right?
All right, done. We're done. That's it.
Like how do you have a successful business? How do you get growth if you don't have some sort of a marketing strategy, some sort of a marketing plan? You know, like I said, I keep going back. I've done this for 14 years. So I've seen firms and other practices struggle, close. It's kind of funny. Just one of them recently who we worked with long ago. And he kind of fell off the face of the earth. I thought he retired. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he's popping up on social media. I'm like, look at this. He's trying to get back in there.
He's like, I'm never left. I'm here.
Yeah. So even I feel like if they're cutting their budgets there, they're not acknowledging or putting value on marketing. If you want to stay in the game, you have to eventually find whatever works for you.
I find it super fascinating. And I just feel like it like really makes my blood boil. So when you said that, I was just like, wow, I feel validated. And especially coming from someone's brain, like marketing, like I was with a marketing professional yesterday and we have a whatever, I think that's the right word, where she does like your traditional marketing, overarching marketing strategy, all this stuff, like overarching everything marketing, where I'm social media. And watching us both come to the same conclusion, but like in a different route is so freaking fascinating. So even me just having this conversation with you, how do you approach people? Are you at the point now that you just like, okay, cool, that's what you think? Like, I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you otherwise, or do you actually try to convince them otherwise?
I always feel like you make people remember you by what you teach them, you know, so educate them. So I'll try and educate them, you know, if it's what you think, you know, tell me what it is that you think makes your business grow. Well, actually, do you realize that might be some form of marketing, just not the marketing you think it is?
Yeah.
For instance, I think a lot of people separate sales from marketing, but sales goes hands in hands with marketing. So even if you're out there, you know, at a lunch or in a meeting or something, that's still marketing.
That's marketing at its fullest.
Right.
So what do you think about, I love asking just random ass questions. I'm like, is she going to validate me? Are we going to be agree to disagree here? If someone looked at you and said, I'm a referral based business, I have enough to go like to last me, whatever. What is your response on the marketing front of that still?
I mean, we're a referral-based business. For the longest time, that's one of the reasons why we had no presence on the web, on the internet, no social media presence, no anything. This was word of mouth. This was, you know, referral-based, like you said. Yeah. But I just kept thinking, like, we're missing something. What if we could, you know, okay, we grew 4%, that's fantastic. What if we did this and grew 10%?
Yeah.
Like, what if? There's lots of ifs and whens. I mean, that's kind of marketing as it is. Nobody, you know, you can plan and you can strategize and you can do your best. But a lot of marketing is trial and error, and what works for us may not work for others. And, but you got to try all of it and some of it. And even if it is referral based, it doesn't mean marketing isn't important in your business as well.
Oh, I feel so I'm like,
yeah,
sometimes when I say things like what you just said, I feel crazy because I feel like I say it on repeat. And when other people validate it in a sense of like, it is trial and error. It is just because you're a referral based business, that doesn't matter because you can grow just a little bit. Even if you don't want to, you still want to be top of mind a consumer. That is still like the FOMO feeling of like, they still want to get on your wait list. How do they get involved if you are just a referral based business? Like they still want to be involved with your stuff. You still should be talking about what you do and how you offer it and all these things because you still want to be in the game with your competitors.
Yeah,
just like
exactly.
the guy that you just talked about. Like you thought he retired, died, something, and then now he's out the woodworks.
Yeah. And what we've always done is it's not just referral based either, but it's business to business. And that was one of the big pushbacks I got with social media. Like, how are you possibly going to reach business to business in social media? Well, it's doable, but you also get the consumer too, which is great. So why not get both? You can reach whoever in social media.
Social media is literally the general public. You do not know who's on it. You don't know if their spouse is the owner of a business. You don't know if their spouse is a doctor at a facility that you can represent. Like you don't know. You don't know if they're a personal injury attorney. Like you don't know if they come across. They're like, oh crap, wait, what? I didn't know. I love Caitlyn. That's like all these things. It's just the inevitable, and I feel like people need to lean in to marketing way more their business in order to get it off the ground. So key components of this podcast episode is you need to just do marketing no matter what industry. You're sitting across from someone that does marketing for like an array of industries on social media. That's just like more, it's like easier to do the marketing aspect versus like someone that's sitting across from me that does marketing, knows they need marketing, still pushes marketing for such a specific industry that's going after such a specific clientele that also is telling you it doesn't matter what industry you're in, there's some sort of marketing that you need.
Yep.
I think that's like one of the 100% things that they're going to take away from this. But the second one is like your network. And I think that people are so scared to invest in themselves. Were you ever at the point where you were just like, oh shit, maybe I don't, scared, I guess I'm just going to say scared to invest in your business. Like maybe you won't get a return. Maybe it was like.
For sure. Definitely. I say now, I wish I would have done this longer ago, and I'm sure that there's lots of entrepreneurs that say the same thing. But yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, it just the more time went on, the more I realized, okay, maybe this leap of faith is not as large as I thought it was going to be, or as deep as I thought it was going to be, and it just kind of felt like the safer, the righter, the better move, and so I did it. But of course, there's fear because you care.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's people that are depending on you. And, I think it's just normal human nature to have doubt.
I think too, with the doubt aspect of it, you literally just said something that triggered this in my mind. Like you can have fear, but you don't have time to dwell in it because you have people that depend on you, whether that's employees, whether that's your family, whatever that looks like. I always say I had this conversation earlier with another person, but it was just more of like, I allow myself to have a minute to fear or feel whatever I'm feeling. And then I'm like, okay, it's now time to like get up. What is it is it walking in sunshine? Is it music that's going to pump you up? Is it calling a friend? Whatever it is, you have to get out of your funk and keep going because in all avenues of entrepreneurship, investing in your business, whatever it is, it's scary. It's going to be risky. There's going to be doubts. There's going to be obstacles that you have to overcome. So I think that's something interesting that everybody just needs to understand.
Not to mention, I think the fear never really goes away. Even if you want to start to do something new, there's going to be a little intimidation, a little fear. But, you got to step out of your comfort zones. Hence, I'm here today.
Sheila, I'm very proud of you. And this is such a, you've calmed me down.
Well,
like
thanks.
my voice, like Joan and them are going to be like, I don't even have to turn Shelby's volume down because she's so just like monotone right now. I just feel so zen. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks, girl. If I turn Boosie on, we're gonna be doing crazies over here. I'm kidding. Anyway, go ahead. Can you?
No, I just I think honestly the fear can be a good thing if you know how to use it, right?
I think it's just a form of excitement and uncomfortable. You're uncomfortable in the sense of what you're going to next, and it's really just you're telling yourself that you're scared. You're scared because it's the unknown. The unknown.
Or you hear the other
new.
people in your head, or whatever it might be, or you're in a comfortable place, which can be a good thing for some and not for others. or maybe not being in the comfortable place for a long period of time. So, fear is not a bad thing.
What is your advice as we wrap this guy? See, it wasn't so bad. This guy up.
Quick.
It goes by so fast. Your number one piece of advice for entrepreneurship, investing in yourself, putting yourself in the right rooms. Like, I want you to give it to them. So act like you're talking to someone they could have experience. They've never invested. They're just starting. They're stuck in a job they hate. Like, what's your advice to them?
Surround yourself with people that lift you up, that support you. Be bold, be courageous, be brave. Think about your why and what you're doing this for, and, post it wherever you need to post it to keep the reminder up. Just go for it. Like you say, shoot your shot. I heard that a lot in the back of my head when I did this. Shoot your shot.
And I talked to you a lot through this. I feel like I'm so proud. I've watched this whole journey evolve. Yeah. It was so good. And it's just brave. And you're teaching your babies, like, hey, go chase your freaking dreams, because mom did it. Well, and dad, but he's not here and we're not talking about him.
That'll be another podcast.
We'll have Nick later. Everybody's like, where's your ring? I'm like, he is not relevant right now. I'm talking to Caitlyn. But I think that's so true, because so many people, what is there to lose? Like, truly, what is there to lose?
I mean, that was a big driving factor. That's what I kept thinking to myself. What would I do if I didn't do this? What I really want to abandon the last 14 years? What could I do to keep the relationships I've done and build on what I've built in the last 14 years, but just do it on my own? So.
Wait, we didn't even touch on this part. Can you tell everybody what for a minute you thought you were going to go back to do?
Back in college, well, I said that
you did, yes.
Marketing was my major. My minor was fashion, because my mom convinced me of that. You should switch the two. And so I did. But in college, my mom and my sister and I had a women's boutique. And I'm probably the only crazy person that misses retail sometimes, especially around the holidays. So when I kind of was at a turning point, I was like, maybe that's what I'm meant to be. Maybe that's what I should do. But a very wise person told me that
I was about to say, what did the person in your circle tell you?
Yes. He said, Caitlyn, if fashion's your hobby, don't make your job your hobby, because then it will never be your hobby. So that's stuck with me. So now I can just shop for fun.
You shop for fun and do what you're really good. Not that you're not good at fashion, but like you can do what you're really good at every day.
Right.
Well, cool. Tell everybody how they can connect with you, how they can follow along on your journey, all the things.
We are professionally, we are at Prime Fizz Network, PHYS, and Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, or primefiznetwork.com.
You're like all over the socials.
Yeah. Oh. I know.
And I mean, this is just the beginning of her. I'm going to pull her butt back when we're ready to announce our little fun that we've been having lately.
Definitely.
But if you like this episode, please comment, share, leave us a review. Until next time, let's freaking get it. And that's a wrap on another episode of Damn Good Marketing Podcast. Thank you all so much for being here. Make sure you comment, review, share it with a friend. Come back next week. And until next time, let's freaking get it.